and welcome to today's webinar all about the new Web Help Center. My name is Lauren Taylor. I'm the Director of Product and Education here at iorad, and I am your host for today's webinar. So let's go ahead and get started. Today's topics, we're going to go over the 3 Help Center types just so you know the differences. We're going to talk about some scenarios and when you would use the Web Help Center. We're going to walk through some new features and functionality, as well as just how the Help Center works. So if you're not familiar with it already, no worries. And then lastly, we'll spotlight the iorad feature release page, as well as how you can submit suggestions or ideas to us for future enhancement. So, alrighty. So first up, the 3 Help Center types. Our first Help Center type here is our Web Help Center, and that's the one we're going to cover today. But the Web Help Center, like all the others, the Widget and Extension Help Center, these are all self-help help centers or options. So think of, you're not pushing content, you're allowing your users or your learners to pull the content that they need at the time they need it. That's what they all have in common. Now, the Web Help Center is really flexible and a lot of people use it in different ways. While it is self-help, this one also allows you to kind of select a subset of tutorials and also order those tutorials in a way that you want your end learners to go through it. So that's the Web Help Center. The widget is something that is able to be added to your own product or website. So typically it is customer facing, product focused. The extension is more internal or employee training focused, where you would have training on applications that you don't own the code to. So think Google Apps, Salesforce, HubSpot. Again, that is for your internal team because typically people don't want to ask their customer to add the iorad extension to get their own training. So that's for internal folks. Okay, so the Web Help Center, this is a standalone repository. It does enable your learners to view a subset of your tutorials. Technically, they could view all of them if you chose all your tutorials in your account, but the nice thing is you can choose just a subset. And it can be embedded on any web page or web application, and you can also share a link to it so that you can just send people directly to that Help Center as well without embedding it. You could share a link in an email, a newsletter. You can link out to it from a website or like, a chat bot, things like that. You can also embed it in, say, a SharePoint page, a Google site, your own product site, on like a blank page. And then you can also embed it within your sales enablement systems, or you can link out to it in Slack, things like that, that your sales team, your sales processes for your sales team to get that content to them. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into the Web Help Center, walking through how it works and the new features. So I'm going to transition to the iorad.com site. Here I'm on the Help Center page, so you'll see that Help Center tab at the top. And then you'll see the 3 Help Center types. So again, today we're just focusing on the web option. And if you need to, if you want to create a new view, you can click Create New, and that's going to just create a new view from scratch. And so you can customize it. I'm going to work from this one I have down here called Sales Training, and I'll go ahead and edit it. Now you'll see over on the right learners view, I have no tutorials currently in this Help Center. Up top here, I have the name and I have nickname. Name is what is going to be public facing. So that's what you want your learners to see. Whereas nickname is going to be more of an internal field just for you and your team managing this, so that if you wanted to add like a label that you wouldn't want to be seen, like level 2 or anything like that, that you want to keep on the back end, that's what the nickname field is for. Intro text is automatically populated with browse topics or search for an answer. You can customize that to say anything you would like. So I'll just say like search for help here. Okay. Now next we have our websites. Now websites, this list is populated based off of the applications or websites that you captured from. So within your team account, any website you or your teammate has captured from, then that's going to populate this list. Additionally, if you use our desktop capture tool, that's the desktop option down here. So you'll want to include the desktop option to include those tutorials in the available list over here. So I'm going to go ahead and just select monday.com. And we'll say canva.com. You don't have to only select a couple. It just sometimes makes it easier if you have a really long list to be able to only pick from a handful of tutorials or categories versus, that whole long list. So I'm going to add just a couple of categories here. And you'll see you'll know their categories because my view is in category view. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So now I've added these 3 categories over here, and then I can click on link and embed. Here you can adjust your mode if you want to, share a link with all your tutorials in one of these modes. Then you can select the mode. It'll adjust all the tutorials, and you can share that link that way. Same with language, and the same with the embed code if you want to embed it in with all your tutorials in a certain mode. Now, next up is privacy. So privacy is super important, of course. With the privacy option, it's very similar to our tutorial privacy. So we, of course, don't want people that we don't want seeing this help center or our tutorials to see them. And we do want to make sure that those that we want to be able to access this can. So public would be indexable by all search engines. Google, Yahoo, etc. So if you don't want the world to see your help center, I would suggest not choosing public. Unlisted would mean that anyone who has access to this help center link would have access to view this help center. Now, again, it's important to remember that there's 2 levels of privacy. There's your help center privacy. That's this that we're talking about. And then there is your tutorial privacy here. So if you're not seeing a help center or one of your learners as you're testing this is not seeing maybe a tutorial or they can't access the help center, just keep that in mind that there's 2 levels, your help center privacy, and then each of these tutorials has their own privacy as well. Additionally, you'll see these check boxes here. So if you don't have the entire category checked and you create a new tutorial, you might want to come in and make sure that you've checked the box here to make sure that it's being included in to your help center. So because if you don't want all of these tutorials, within a category to show in your help center, you can deselect that check over here. And so that's how things might not be showing in that help center. Next up is our most popular option for privacy, which is our embed only. With that embed only option, you do have the ability to pick and choose which domains or website URLs this help center is accessible from. So when I choose embed only, you'll see whitelist. And you can add all the domains here that you want to have access. So all you'll do is you'll take that embed code, you'll embed it in the application or that website, you'll add the website URL here. And then if anyone were to try to access this tutorial outside of one of those domains, they wouldn't be able to access it. So that's a really nice and easy way to give access to this help center without asking people to log in to iorad. The last option is our invite only option. With the invite only option, it is the most restricted option. However, while you are asking your learners to log into iorad, you're getting a benefit from it. So by having your end learners log into iorad, we are then able to track who took what tutorials. So of course, if they don't log in, we don't know who they are, and we wouldn't be able to tell you that, you know, Sally completed this tutorial. So the invite only option is the most restrictive, but you are able to collect that data as to who completed which tutorials. All right, next we're going to jump down here to theme real quick. Now from theme, this is the theme that is from your tutorial theme. So I'll show you that real quick. So I'm going to jump over here to this tutorial just to show you. So when you add in your custom theme, your logo, your background image, your font styles, that theme, that custom theme is then carried over to this help center. So you can choose from one of our iorad preset themes, or you can choose that custom theme, assuming that it's included in your plan, of course. But that's the same theme as your tutorial theme. The main color is going to be for notifying the tutorials that have been recently updated or are new, as well as any hover colors on the help center, loading colors, things like that. And then tutorial layout. So depending on how you end up using this help center, will depend on, you know, maybe which option is best for you. But the step list option, these two, would be for using it like a knowledge base. You know, a step list like text, image, more of an article style format. Whereas the player, maybe you want it to be more of like a training format where they're just taking the tutorial and there's not that article format. Okay, so now from here, let's take a look at what this looks like just so you can see. Notice that theme has been pulled in. We have our quick find up here so your end learners can search for things they're looking for. They've got this category view that they can expand out. We also have the filter, power filter feature here as well. If you choose, you can also have a sort icon here. I can open this and you'll see some options as far as filtering that your end learner can filter by. And then I have the search for help here. That's my information. And then they can go ahead and open it up just like so. So that is kind of what it looks like right now. Now, if I want to change the view, I can change it. So this is in category view. If I, like I said earlier, if you don't want all these tutorials in that category to show, you can just, you know, remove the checkbox here. I can also change the format, and if I want it to be shown in tag view, maybe you're using tags as roles or another way. Another popular view is the tutorial view. I personally like this one. If you don't have a lot of tutorials that you want to show, that's a nice option. And it's going to show your tutorials in a list like this. And again, same concept. You can just click the X to remove any tutorials you don't want to include. And then under features, then you can select if you don't want search to be an option, you can add the sort option, you can remove some filtering options. You can also adjust for the sort, you can adjust what the default sort is. You can remove tutorial info. So what that means is there's going to be information this on the tutorial itself. There's an info tab. So you can add like a subtitle or just additional information about that tutorial. If you don't want that included, then you would uncheck the tutorial info box. You can also choose to show learner progress. You can show or allow your learner to show or hide completed tutorials. So once they've completed tutorials, they can choose to hide those. And then sequence lock. So one of the newest features with this help center is that you can now reorder your tutorials. Previously, everything was alphabetical. So people were getting really creative on, like 1.1, 1.2 to get things to go in the order you wanted. Now you can just click and drag these into the order that you would like. So I can just say like, oh, I want this one to come up here, and reorder them in that way. And now your learners can then take it in that specific order. So by just dragging and dropping, that's not forcing the order. It's just going to display that order. The sequence lock checkbox is actually going to force that order, meaning your learner has to go through this tutorial before they can get to this tutorial, before they can get to this tutorial. So that's the sequence lock. Duration is going to show on the cover of the Help Center, similar to our tutorial cover duration, the number of tutorials and the time it would take to go through that. So that's that option. And then theme, this is allowing you to choose if you want to hide any of these options, theme options, logo, title, or that intro search for an answer here text. So those are the feature options. Okay. We talked about theme. So now I'm going to go ahead and preview it again. Close that one. And now you'll see this is in a tutorial list view. You'll see that color that I pointed out as I hover, the red color with the dots. And then the learn more, edit original, that's the text that was typed into that info field that I showed you. So that is the info tutorial information text there. And then you can see the duration to 22 tutorials, 5 minutes, and search for help here. So those are all customizable options as well. Okay. Now, if I go ahead and close out of this, and we'll go back to the dashboard. Here, if you hover over that Help Center, you'll get these quick links. So this is take you to the editor we just came from. You can rename it. Sharing. So with the share option, when I talked about invite option, the invite option earlier, and how if you have your learners logging in, then you would be able to collect that data, who's completed what. Well, when you're sharing it, there's this invite tab. And the nice thing is we have an enabled domain sharing option. So you can choose whether you want to hand select, just a handful of people and enter their email. You can upload a CSV, or if you want to share this Help Center with everyone within your org, check enable domain sharing, and it automatically will populate with the email domain that you're logged in with, and that will give access to everyone within your org. So now they can sign in using manual login, SAML, Google sign in, any of those will work. And then once they log in, we know who they are. They have access to this Help Center and the tutorials, and they can take it, go through it in that way. This also applies to the Extension Help Center as well. So if you want to give access to those people, tutorials in the extension, you can use that enable domain sharing option that way. And in case you're not familiar, the tutorials will then show in the extension based off of the domain that they were captured from. So Google Docs tutorials would show in Google Docs, Salesforce would show on the Salesforce domain in the extension. So that is the invite option. And again, if you're using the invite only, you would need to, invite them to this Help Center. So, right. Now, learner progress, again, this is only going to be populated if they're logging in. So that doesn't necessarily need to be populated, or it doesn't need to be, the Help Center doesn't need to be set to invite only per se, but if they're not logging in and they aren't forced to log in, people probably aren't going to log in. So I would recommend, if you want to collect this learner progress information, that you would set it to invite only, to require learners to log in. And then that is how, once they log in, they access this Help Center, they take this tutorial, they would then get populated in this list. You can then see their progress. You can view their tutorial, their progress by tutorial list view, by category list view, like this, or tag list view, like so. So that is that, and then you can also invite others here as well. Okay. And then if you want to open it up, you can delete it. You can make a copy of it. Anytime you want to just, shut off access to this help center quickly, you can use that eye icon to disable it or disable the visibility that way. Okay. Alrighty, so that pretty much covers the Help Center and the new functionality with the learner progress and the reordering and the sequence lock. So those are all very exciting updates. The last thing I wanted to mention was our iorad release page. Anytime you want to check out what's new in iorad, you can go to the More menu, click on Release. And this is where you can see our iorad releases. You can sort by product area, date. You can use this Learn More link and it will launch out to tell you more about the particular feature and what's new and who's it's available for. As well as, get back here. If you have a feature request suggestion, feel free to submit that here. iorad is what it is today because of our customers and their great ideas. So we'd love to hear what your thoughts are, how we can make it better, or some new creative ideas. So feel free to submit those to our team here. I've included some articles of interest, mostly pertaining to help centers, web help centers, things like that. So feel free to check out these articles. Thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to connecting with you on our next webinar.